Good afternoon, Genesis gamers. I'm MBT, and this is 100-point playtesting. One of the things keeping people off Genesis is a general lack of information about what's actually good in the format. Hopefully, this will be the first in a weekly series showcasing what's good, what's bad, and what I'm playing. We're going to begin with a deck I think is really awesome, provided you're not a doctor. Presenting Vanquish Soul Regenesis. So here's the list, a flight winner from the remote YCS. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. But first, this video is sponsored by Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck. Looking for a place to find inspiration for Genesis decks? Well, look no further. I've already spent years telling you about how Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck is the best repository of deck lists, strategy articles, third-party assistance with alternate ways to play Yu-Gi-Oh!, and card collection management on the internet. But right now, it's also the best way to find Genesis lists. You can sort by deck type, filter high-level tournaments to see what's been working, and download decks you see in any format you desire. That's why I'm proud to be sponsored by www.ygoprodeck.com. Now back to the video. With that, let's re-look at Regenesis. Regenesis is an archetype that just never really found a home in the TCG. A repeatable resource loop with an incredible grind game, it just couldn't keep up with the big boys and their big boards, which makes it a perfect candidate for Genesis. It pairs nicely with another archetype chased out of the TCG, while Vanquish Soul saw success with K9 that was mostly due to their backing the blue, and Konami's seen fit to abolish ice and send those cops to high point heaven. Here our two archetypes meet. Neither is each other's first choice, but like a backup girlfriend in high school, these crazy kooks might just work out after all. Regenesis has an incredible lineup of typings for an archetype now unable to play cards like Ash Blossom. A lack of extra deck extenders means locks like those on Code matter very little, and this is far and away the funniest deck in the format at leveraging Galaxy Tachyon. Reveal Chaos Hand, anyone? Anyway, let's get into the card by card. First up, we've got our Vanquish Souls, 3 copies of Caesar Valius. We kind of have to max out on our Earth targets just because Earths are kind of hard to find, sans Izuna. 3 copies of Heavy Borgar, and importantly, that burn effect will come up. Games of Genesis tend to last longer, and being able to prevent an opponent from winning over the course of 6 or 7 turns can get you into a position where maybe the burn ends up taking the match for you. We've got 3 copies of Dr. Madlove, 1 Pluton HG, which I can't believe we're playing. Beggars can't be choosers when it comes to fire targets. And then our Regenesises. We've got 3 Archfiend, 1 Sage, and 1 Warrior. You can play a more expansive lineup, but I find this is enough. After that, we're on Kaijus, 3 copies of Doggerin and 2 copies of Radiant. These are becoming more popular main deck, and here they help round out the math when it comes to attributes. Finally, we're on Link Apple. This card is sometimes an upstart goblin, but in a format where you can't play Link monsters, it's always an upstart goblin, and it's a fire as well. For spells, we're on 3 copies of 7th Tachyon with a whole slew of targets, 3 copies of Stake Your Soul, 3 copies of Regenesis Code, a copy of Vanquish Soul Start, and a copy of Vanquish Soul Snow Devil. As a great philosopher once said, Trinities go at the end of the deck list, so for our pointed cards, we are on a Holly Sue, double Xiaolong, and 3 Vanquish Soul Raisin. In the extra deck, we have a Reaper board with cards like Archmage Deoctorus, Gulamel, Perfume Dancer, and Cool Tune Trackmaker, here adapted from a Punk card that is now pointed. We have Mirror Logic Aggregator, Galaxy Eyes Tachyon Dragon, C105 Batlin Boxer Comet Cestus for a Fire 5, Giant Red Hand for a Fire Earth, 5 Earth rather, Batlin Boxer Star Cestus for our Raisin, and then Tornado Dragon, Rocks, Exciton Knight, F-Zero Utopic Future, and Sky Crisis as our pointed Xyz monster. Finally, this Garura is just part of an Ultimate Slayer board. In the side deck, we've got 2 Vados, we've got a Regenesis Dragon, 3 Ghost Reaper and Winter Cherries, 3 Dark Ruler, 3 Spell Card Soul Exchange, we actually have a lot of Tribute monsters, and 3 Ultimate Slayer. So with that, let's check out a game. Our match is up against Labyrinth, which is good. It's going to give us an understanding of how our deck fares against a strategy that plays on a little bit of a different axis than other decks in the format. We're going to begin with a copy of 7th Tachyon revealing Giant Red Hand in order to grab a Holly Sue from deck. Who knew? Afterwards, we'll go for the Holly Sue effect in grip, and after that, we'll go for the Holly Sue effect on field. So the name of the game when it comes to Vanquish Soul is getting all attributes in a rotation, a fire, a dark, and an earth, and that's going to be pretty hard that we can get to Raisin. Our opponent will go for Arias for a Destructive Daruma Karma Cannon, cutting us off of a lot. Here we're going to be able to go for Dr. Madlove for the trap, and that means we don't have to commit 2 bodies to the field in order to get it off the start. We'll go Heavy Borgar here, revealing the dark in order to grab, and we could go start here in order to guarantee access to an earth, but I think we can get there anyway. By targeting the Heavy Borgar and grabbing a fire, we can ensure we can get it off the Xiaolong, and then make a different decision information about our Caesar. In draw, we'll draw an additional card. It's not an Earth, unfortunately, but we will go for the Xiaolong reveal 2, and then we will grab that Caesar Valius. If we think we need to protect our life total, we can go for him. Otherwise, we can go for the trap. Our opponent doesn't have much to do, unfortunately. They're going to set a lot. We'll go for Caesar, and knowing the game's over, they're going to scoop it up. Unsurprisingly, for game 2, we are on the draw, and this is a pretty good hand. It's got access to the Regenesis monsters, the Vanquish Soul monsters. Of course, since our opponent is on a trap deck, I expect they'll just set a lot, and we'll have to chew through it. They're going to begin with a copy of Stovey Torby, sending a barrage to grave. Listen, you got to do what you got to do when the cards are this heavily pointed. They'll go Lab, set to pass, and it's our turn. We are going to begin with a copy of Code. They will chain Welcome Labyrinth for a copy of Lovely Labyrinth. We will summon Regenesis Archfiend, and this is a low-value pop, so they do let it go. We'll grab Sage. Unfortunately, we can't contest a back row until this card leaves the field, so we will tribute it for a Radiant, then special summon the Sage in order to contest back row. Next, we'll go for a Stake Your Soul, and we will go ahead and grab a Raisin effect in order to add, and then we put it in the same column as the Radiant so we can potentially make a lethal push. We will go for its effect in order to pop, do so, only to walk into an IDP, banishing 2 monsters and triggering the effect of the Stovey Torby and the Lab, bringing back the Lovely Lab. We'll summon another Regenesis and a Mad Love into a Torrential as the last card, but our turn isn't over. We can use the effect of the Holly Sue added off of the Raisin in order to summon herself to our side of the field, start target her in order to grab the requisite material necessary to activate her effect, then do so summoning from our deck a copy of Dr. Madlove. From here, we can activate the effect of the Heavy Borgar and use the Madlove to draw another card, hopefully something relevant. Unfortunately, not really. We can summon out this copy of Xiaolong, and I'm hoping we'll be able to just Borgar burn over the course of 2 or 3 turns after we resolve this Madlove again. We're going to activate the effect at end phase of the start to set a copy of Snow Devil, though we are pretty far off it. Our opponent draws for turn, and they are going to scoop. So we're back with the deck, and this thing's crazy. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1, this deck just accidentally gets to play a lot of the best cards in the format. Doggeran and Raiden are too much for a lot of the top strategies to handle. A significant amount of the meta is ending on a remix and passing, and after that, they're just passing. 2, it puts out damage like nobody's business. A single code is 5k, and from that position, the looming threat of Borgar really starts mattering. Turns out if you let people take more than 1 turn, the cards balanced around them only getting 1 turn get a lot better. And 3, as you saw in that game, it's one of the best decks in the format at playing through points of interaction. Not a lot can beat 3 consecutive lethal pushes. And the cons. 1, points. Holly at 33 and Raisin and Xiaolong at 11 means you don't really have room for anything. You're going to spend a lot of time looking at opponents with hand traps and wishing you were them. 2, it tends to be kind of draw dependent. It's a little rough to consistently have all typings, especially since you're Earthlight with no Izuna. Often you have the choice of Caesar or the trap. And 3, are you really going to register Link Apple? All in all, I expect this deck to be a top 3 strategy in the Richmond format. If you've got a deck you want me to take a look at, either something proven, something from Bipro, or even something off the wall, let me know. I'd love to see what you've been brewing.